Dana White's Contender Series Season 9 Week 8 takes place tomorrow, and here are my predictions for the entire card. As always, I do like to look at my past week's performance to see what we can improve upon, and honestly, last week we smacked, alright? We picked nearly every underdog on the entire card and went 4-1. That is worth applause. Thank you me, thank you guys. We did come away plus 2.96 units last week. That means we're minus 1.32 units on the entire season. This Season 9 Week 8 needs to be profitable, needs to slap with picks because we're almost done, all right? I believe there's only 10 weeks of Contender Series, and I want to be profitable for this season, so let's get into it. First fight of the card is Rashid Vagabov taking on Paulo de Silva. Rashid Vagabov, he trains out of Habib's camp, so you know right off the bat, that's why he's minus 525, okay? Because he trains with Habib, he trains with the Dagestani guys. He went 3-1 at Eagle FC. He went 4-0 at UAE Warriors. Not really thinking either of those promotions are the greatest. He does constantly shoot takedowns. He's fought a decent level of competition. I've looked at their records. I've looked at their opponents. They are not that bad. He's a pretty good fighter. He's a combat sambo merchant, so he's going to go for takedowns. He's going to look for ground and pound. He's going to look for submissions. And he's on a 4-fight submission winning streak as we speak. Now, Paulo de Silva, he's got 11 wins. 9 of them have come by submission. He won his only LFA fight. He's 1-0 at LFA. But prior to that, he was fighting regional can after regional can after regional can. He does train at Shooter Box, but not the one we know with Charles Oliveira. It's like an affiliate of Charles Oliveira. I'm not really sure who the main trainer is there. He throws wildly. He doesn't have the best chin. He doesn't have good submissions off his back. Mainly when he's getting the sub, it's because he's the one on top. It's not really like an armbar from guard. You know, he's looking for arm triangle chokes. He's looking for rear naked chokes. So, against a guy like Rashid Vagabov, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I think if this stays standing, I think Rashid's striking is better. I think if this hits the mat, Rashid is not going to get submitted. I know he has one submission loss, but that was to a fellow Dagestani. If it goes to decision, Rashid is going to have all the minute-winning upside. So, for all those reasons, I'm not buying Paulo de Silva. I don't think he's that good. Vagabov trains with Habib's guys. He's pretty good. Give me Rashid Vagabov to win by knockout. Okay, I think he's actually going to get the ground and pound finish in this one. I don't think he's going to be able to submit the Brazilian Paulo de Silva, but if the fight does hit the ground, he does throw big elbows, he does throw big bombs when he's on top, so I'm anticipating a ground and pound stoppage for the minus 525 favorite, Rashid Vagabov. Next fight on the card is Kurtis Campbell taking on Demba Seck. Now, Kurtis Campbell, he is 7-0. He was 8-1 as an amateur, and if you look at his fights, yes, he has 4 knockout wins and 1 submission, but he is mainly trying to bring the fight to the ground. Most of his knockout wins are by ground and pound. He does have like a liver up kick here and there or like a body shot, but mainly speaking, he's bringing this fight to the ground. He's going to be hunting for submissions. He's going to be hunting for ground and pound. If it stays standing, I actually am slightly concerned for Kurtis Campbell. I don't think he has the best stand-up. I think his striking power is not that high compared to Demba Seck. I think Demba Seck will actually have the more powerful striking in this matchup. Kurtis Campbell, though, he's got the main event experience. He's fought in multiple 5-round fights. He trains at MMA Academy in Liverpool, where there's not really a lot of guys there. And he started MMA 7 years ago. Demba Seck started MMA 4 years ago. Demba Seck, he's got 4 KOs, 4 subs, 2 decisions, mainly fought at regional African promotions. If he were to win this fight, he would be the first Senegalian UFC fighter ever. There is some guy, Ruru, in 1FC. He's Senegalian, but for UFC purposes, Demba Seck would be the first one. Now, everything would tell you, logic, watching the tape, the notes, everything would tell you Kurtis Campbell is going to probably have takedown success in this fight. Kurtis Campbell will probably fish for a submission. Kurtis Campbell will probably find a submission. But I say this. I looked at Demba Seck's fights. Yes, he does struggle with takedowns. He doesn't look the best off his back. But if it stays standing, he's going to be throwing with no regard. He's throwing with high volume, high power. Kurtis Campbell, if he does not go for takedowns like we think he will, if it stays standing in a small apex cage, I think Demba Seck is going to land something big on Kurtis Campbell. Like I said, all the factors would make you think Kurtis Campbell wins by decision, submission, something like that. But I'm going out of my way to pick a long shot underdog that I think has a viable path to victory in the first round. I'm going with Demba Seck to win by round 1 KO. Everything I said, ignore the entire breakdown. Because if you did, you would think Kurtis Campbell wins. But if you ignore everything and just look at these guys fighter for fighter, when they squared off, Demba Seck is the bigger guy. Demba Seck will be having more power on the feet. Kurtis Campbell will have to initiate grappling and get takedown success to win this fight. If it stays standing, Demba Seck has a supreme chance to win. And plus 310, you're giving me the more powerful striker in a fight where it's the Contender Series and he needs to get a finish to win. Give me Demba Seck. Next fight on the card is Christopher Alvidrez taking on Eliezer Kubanza. Christopher Alvidrez, he's got 4 KOs, 1 sub, 1 decision. He does have a decision loss. He trains at the Goat Shed with Jillian Robertson. I like that. He went 2-1 at Combat Global. Combat Global isn't the worst promotion, so I like that. He can mix in takedowns, and he has a karate background, so I like that. He can go to the grappling. He can keep it standing. He's got good power on the feet. He's got sneaky submission upside on the ground. He's fought a decent level of competition. He looks to be pretty well-rounded. He's going to have the size advantage. He seems to throw with high output. And the betting lines open this guy as a plus 105 underdog. He's currently plus 225. So, the bookies did the tape study, looked at the stats, looked at the records, and thought this should be closer to a pick'em. But the guys that actually put money on this decided Eliezer Kubanza was worthy of a big favorite spot. He's got 6 KOs, 1 decision win, 7-3 as an amateur. He lost all 3 of his fights by decision. He trains at Soma Fight Club, not really sure what that is. No one really there is notable. He went 4-1 at Brave FC. I like that. Brave FC is a pretty good promotion. He does mix in takedowns, just like Christopher. He does have a questionable chin. Not a big fan of that. He's been knocked down a couple times on the regional scene. He's got some decent takedown defense, but he does seem to throw with low output. So, with all this being said, I did just pick a juicy underdog in my last one. In this fight, I think Christopher is going to do something similar to Christian Perez, who fought Manuel Souza a couple weeks ago on the Contender Series. Now, Christian Perez trains at the Goat Shed with Christopher Alvidrez. Christian Perez decided that he was going to go all in on takedowns against Manuel Souza. I think in this one, Christopher Alvidrez is going to decide he's going to go all in on takedowns in this one. I think Christopher Alvidrez will have success with the takedowns. I think if this stays standing in the first round, sure, Kubanza can get the round 1 KO, but if it extends past round 1, if Alvidrez is getting the grappling going, I don't think Kubanza's KO power is going to hold all the way until the end of round 2, end of round 3. I think Alvidrez has more ability to win the minutes in this fight, considering his karate base. He's going to be in and out of the pocket, peppering the shots, shooting the takedowns. So for all those reasons, I think there's enough here to take the underdog again. I'm going with Christopher Alvidrez to win by decision. He's only got 1 decision win, but if he were to win this one, and if he were to fight similarly to Christian Perez, he's going to win by decision. He's going to mix in takedowns, he's going to avoid the big shots from Kubanza, and he's going to land his own karate shots of his own. So, I like this dog shot as well. Next fight on the card is Luis Jourdain taking on Magno Diaz. Luis Jourdain is obviously Charles Jourdain's brother. I feel like he has the better hands. I don't know about overall MMA, but he definitely has better hands. He trains at Brazilian Top Team. No one's really there that's notable. It's a bunch of Canadians. He went 6-0 as an amateur, 3-2 at TKO. He's on a 3-fight KO streak. His resume, though, is full of cans, okay? Not really a big fan of Luis Jourdain's resume. He has 3 losses. I don't like that at all. And 2 of them are by sub, and he's fighting a fighting nerd who 4 of his 6 wins have come by sub. So just off of that alone, you would take Magno Diaz to win by sub. But there are a few other factors here. You know, Luis Jourdain has very slick striking. He definitely has KO power in this match. Magno Diaz is going to be way smaller than Luis Jourdain. So I can anticipate Luis Jourdain even finding the knockout on the feet against Magno. But if you watch Magno's fights, this guy's going all in on takedowns. I love that. It's not like he's entertaining the striking and then shooting. He's just going for it. So, if he just goes for it, like I've seen him do on the regional scene, he's fighting a guy with 2 sub losses, a guy with basically no ground game whatsoever. Magno was also the minus 150 betting favorite when the bookies first made this fight. Now he's an underdog. If it stays standing, yeah, Magno probably gets slept. But if it goes to the ground, I love Magno Diaz to win by sub. So for that reason, I'm going with Magno Diaz, the fighting nerd, to win by submission. Another underdog pick. I'm basically picking all dogs on this card except the opener so far. I just think Magno Diaz has a supreme chance to find the sub if it hits the mat, and I think it's going to hit the mat. The main event for this week is Vitor Costa taking on Damian Pinas. Wait a minute. Damian Pinas? It has to be Pinas, right? Now, Vitor Costa, he was supposed to fight Ryan Gondra on the Contender Series a few weeks ago, and he was actually the favorite against Ryan Gondra. We know Ryan Gondra ended up being the minus 400 favorite in his next fight, ended up getting the round 1 KO. So, they thought Vitor Costa was good enough to beat that guy at light heavyweight. Now, this fight is taking place at, I believe, at middleweight. Damian Pinas, he's got 6 KOs, 1 sub, 1 DQ loss. He trains at Nova Unio with Jose Aldo. I like his training partners. He finished all his fights in the first 2 rounds. But he's very green, okay? He's been fighting since 2022. 3 years. And honestly, when you look back at his fights, yeah, he only has 1 loss, but most of his fights, he's getting taken down. He's getting taken down early. Even in the ones he wins, he has no ground game whatsoever. He's got a decent get-up game, sure. He's got decent takedown defense, sure. But once the fight actually hits the ground and goes into the grappling stages, this guy, Damian, is not that good. I even watched back his most recent fight, and the announcer said, because Damian was going for a Kimura, right? And the announcer was like, oh, wow, that's shocking to see a white belt try to submit the black belt. And I was like, wait, what? Damian Pinas is a white belt? And then I looked it up. I did some Googling. He's not a purple belt. I know that. He's at least a blue belt. So his grappling chops are not good. He's fighting a Brazilian who's got 3 subs out of his 8 wins. Of course, Vitor is a powerful striker. If this stays standing, Vitor can even win by knockout. Okay, I think Damian can win by knockout on the feet as well. Vitor's going to have the size advantage. And honestly speaking, on the feet, it's 50-50. Very even. I get the betting line if this was just a straight-up stand-and-bang affair. But the fact that Damian has no ground game and Vitor is Brazilian with 3 sub wins. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? I'm going with Vitor Costa to win by submission. Granted, all 3 of his subs are guillotines, so I'm not the biggest fan of that. I would like to see him, try to go for a rear naked choke or like an arm triangle, but I still think this guy finds the sub somehow, some way. Damian Pinas should not be the favorite. Yes, Vitor Costa did get slept. That is his only loss. That might be the only reason why he's the underdog. But he got slept by Cesar Almeida, who's in the UFC. I mean, come on now. I mean, Damian Pinas has no ground game. Vitor should know that. Vitor should shoot a takedown. Vitor, once it's there, he's also a fighting nerd, low-key. Once it's there, he should find the sub. And my final predictions for Dana White's Contender Series Season 9, Week 8. Let's go. We're picking 4 dogs. Oh, boy. Last week, we picked 4 dogs in the exact same order. We picked the favorite in the first fight, and we picked the next 4 dogs. We went 4-1. So this week, if I'm telling you to bet, the only person that maybe I would say stay away from is Alvidrez. I do think Kubanza has a very good chance to get the KO early, but if he doesn't, I think it's Alvidrez's fight to lose. As for the other ones, I like Seck as a long shot dog, plus 300, round 1 KO. I like Magno Diaz to get the sub specifically. If he doesn't get that, he's probably losing, so I'll probably just bet his sub prop. And Vitor Costa, I think if he's not getting the sub, he's probably getting slept as well, so I'm going to probably be betting his sub prop. I like a lot of unders as well. If you see a finish, you can bet the under 2.5. That's basically how it works. If you see a round 1 finish, bet the fight to end in round 1. Because it can happen either way. It's the Contender Series, guys. Let's make some money. Let's try to sweep. This is a crazy week.